Welcome to a Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Nav.
And I'm Harmit.
And this is a Game of Thrones. Chapters 32, 33, and 34. Arya, Eddard, and Catelyn. In these chapters, Arya has an adventure in secret tunnels. Cat climbs a mountain, and Ned has a fight with his best friends. Dude, get with the times. Ya borin'. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. I hope everyone is as well as we can be at this time, as it is. I don't know why I said that. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well, and we're here today, and I am not as sleepy as I should be, so that's good. So, Harmit, what did you think of these chapters?
They were good. Arya's was my favorite because it was the most intense. And it was very fun to hear all her slick as a feather, warm as a bee. I don't know, I just
light as a feather, slippery as an eel.
Yes.
Smooth as summer silk.
Yes. All of those, I was like, I need to live by these.
Yes.
I will be stealthy if I live by these.
Yeah, you just need a water dancer to teach you the rest and to send you off to chasing cats, it'll be all good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started with the summary, shall we?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yes.
30 seconds each. I will just say the next character's name when it's time to switch.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, Arya.
Okay, Arya is chasing cats. She gets to this last tomcat and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do this, I'll have caught all the cats. She catches the cat, but then she doesn't. She gets lost. She ends up leaving the castle. She hears a lot of conversations. Interesting stuff happens. She wants to warn her dad because they're trying to kill her. They're gonna kill her dad, and she's like, oh my gosh. And then what's his name? Yoren comes in and he's like, hey, Lord
Ned
Stark. Oh, I thought you were correcting me. Ned. Okay, so Ned is having a big long moment in this chapter. So they're having a council meeting, and Robert's actually there for once, which should be our first clue that bad things are going to happen. And then they have a big gigantic fight, and he's like, fine, I'll leave. And he's like, yeah, never come back, or else I'm going to kill you. And then he leaves. And then he's about to leave, and then, what's his name?
Littlefinger.
Littlefinger, yes. Littlefinger comes in.
Switch.
He's like,
Cat.
Cat. Like you said, she climbs a mountain. So, Cat is still on her journey, but they're pretty much there, and then they're intercepted by the guy whose name starts with a D. They're intercepted, and then some people stay there, but Tyrion and Cat and her uncle go on forward, and then they lots of travel. Eventually she makes it to the mountain, and then the stone.
Okay, that's
Maya Stone. Oh.
That's good. Oh my god, when I ask you to switch, the look on your face, like you cannot compute for a second. It's so good.
I have a one-track mind. I can't multitask for the life of me. So when you're suddenly like, do this, my brain goes, wait. Okay. I
it's
need
fair.
a physical...
That's not how most of our brains are meant to be, but it catches you like... It's funny. It's interesting. It's entertaining.
I have a physical pivot moment. I can't just when people do pirouettes and it's just a spin? Mine's not a spin, it's a pivot. With a pivot, you make it very obvious that you're, so,
yes,
yeah.
Okay,
anyway,
all right. Moving on. We're not playing basketball here. So, all right, let's get started with Arya. So, as we already discussed, she's chasing cats. She's caught all the cats in the castle except this one-eared black tomcat. And apparently, as one guardsman tells her, it's the real king of the castle. So far, it went so far as to snatch a roast quail right out of Tywin Lannister's fingers. And that's not a dude people mess with. And this cat messed with him.
Yeah.
So, respect.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. the cat definitely has more balls than the real king does. So
Oh yeah, the king does laugh when he does that, so.
yeah.
Anyway, so she's following this cat and finally corners him, and he can't go anywhere, so she catches him. But then, lo and behold, Marcella and Tommen walk by, and they've got their septa and a couple guardsmen, and they're like, "Hey, you!" And she drops the cat, and, you know, all that work and all the scratches.
This was a really sad moment. This was a really sad moment for me.
Just the fact that she lost the cat?
Yeah, she caught the cat, and I was like, yes, we're starting with, like, a fun little happy moment, and then she dropped the cat, and I don't blame her for dropping the cat, but I was like, don't
yeah,
drop
all
the cat.
her hard work came to nothing, because, like, if she can't take the cat to Sirio, then he won't count it, you know?
Yeah. Now she's gonna go to him and be like, yeah, I caught the cat, but this happened.
Yeah.
Like, she can't even tell him exactly what happened, so.
Yeah, as we find out later, she can't recall details very well.
That's true.
So
Yes.
anyway, I mean, she's 8 or 9 or something, so I don't blame her. But
She is 9.
oh yeah, look at you with your numbers and
The only
ages.
reason I know that is when we got to, like, the prince and princess. They're, like, 7 and 8, and I was like, 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
She was 9. I looked it up.
Okay. So anyway, the septa's like, "Hey, you, come here," and she sends one of the guardsmen over there, and they think he's a. Sorry, I'm gonna restart all that. So as these people come upon her, they think she's a peasant boy, just, you know, chasing cats for whatever reason, because, you know,
Yeah.
most highborn ladies, quote unquote, don't do these such things. And, you know, she looks at herself and she's like, "My hair is tangled, my clothes are torn from all the cat scratches." She's a bit of a mess. So as the septa orders a guardsman to bring Arya to them, she dodges him and then goes under the septa's legs and topples Tommen over.
That is her like thing now. Like I don't know if it's her thing, but she's done it a couple times, and I'm like,
Yeah,
yes.
well,
I want her to do this in every single chapter.
She did it
now.
with Fat Tom once, and I was
Yeah.
like, I was about to tell you about this time, but then I realized that this doesn't happen until later.
Yeah, she's okay. If we ever end up, once we get to the show, which will be like several years later,
Mhm.
I really hope that they just have a thing of Arya going, like, you know, like that as like a sequence.
like, you know, she's small, so she uses that to her advantage.
I know, but I just want to see that. I feel like that would just be so funny.
Okay. All right. No comment. Moving on. So she runs away from the guards and she climbs up this window and slivers down and startles a washerwoman and runs down a hall and some stairs and a hidden courtyard and over some walls and through a window, and, you know, she's got a little crazy.
Yeah,
like,
this
what
was
if... Sorry, so go ahead.
Okay, I have a terrible sense of direction, so this was where I was kind of like Arya. I was like, what?
Yeah, I think we're supposed to be a little lost.
Yeah.
But eventually she finds herself in a dark chamber and she's thinking about the dreams she's been having or used to have when they first got to the Red Keep, about getting lost in the castle and having walls that shift and change. And we see, like, that's true. So, you know, does she have a weird sixth sense about these things? Like, what's happening? But in her dreams, she sees, like, blood dripping and her dad, like, being lost in the walls or something. So that hasn't happened yet. So anyway, so she realizes that she's alone and in a dark chamber, and she decides to count to 10,000 before she leaves and, you know, does her things or catches more cats or whatever. Whatever it is that's on her agenda for the day. So as her eyes adjust to the darkness, she notices these monsters around her. They're smooth black bones and skulls. Now, what can this be?
I don't know. Like, do they just... Don't they have... wait, is it them? They have, like, a room of, like... I don't know if I'm making this up. I might just be making this up.
Okay, why don't you tell us what it is first?
But they have... They have, like, a room of, like, skulls and bones, right? Like, that's... Like, when we got here, I was like, oh yeah, we've heard about this before.
It's the dragon skulls that used to hang in the throne room.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I thought, but I was like, wait, you're bringing it up as though we don't know it, and then I just confused myself.
It
So
is.
like,
I know, but she
Okay,
never
good.
refers to them as that. She just
Yeah.
calls them monsters. So I was like, no, just making it clear.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And, she's frightened by them. So she runs to the opposite end and finds some door and walks out into an even darker hallway, as if that were
Yeah.
possible,
Mm-hmm.
And all she can do is follow the wall and, just keep going down the hall. It must lead somewhere. And it leads to a wide, deep well. Now, this is... When she got there, I was like, oh my god, she stopped, but she could have just easily walked down the well, like, fallen into it. It's dark, nobody can see.
True. Yeah.
But good thing that she felt herself, like, the wall ending and, like, stopping.
Hey, a true water dancer can see with all their senses, okay?
Yes,
She
yeah.
can see with all her senses.
Yeah, that's good. So it's this... Sorry, I've lost my space. Too many notes, too many... And all of my sentences start with she. So, in the well, she sees two men, and they're carrying a torchlight, and she hears them talking, and they're talking about very interesting things. So I wrote all of them down in my notes, because,
Yes.
don't want to miss anything. So they're
Yes.
talking about how someone found one bastard, and the rest
will come. I'm sorry, how many bastards does this guy have?
So
And
you think
why are
it's
they-
more about, like, the rest of the king's bastards that they're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking. Don't,
Yes.
like, look at me like that.
No, I just... Yes, I heard this and I was like, okay, we found Gendry, and now there's others.
Well, we've heard about a couple others. Ned
Yeah.
was thinking about them before.
Yeah, that's where I was like, wait, but why are they important? Like they were like, oh, you'll find the rest. What does that mean?
I don't know.
So
You
it's
tell me.
bastards. Okay, so it's bastards that aren't in the book that he has. That's all we know. That's all I can get from that.
Yes. Okay.
Because they're
So anyway,
every
the
time
next
we talk
thing-
about this, I just get more and more confused. Anyway,
they're talking about how the wolf and the lion will soon be at each other's throats, whether we will it or not.
I mean, we all know that at this point.
Yes,
That's
but what
been
does it
happening.
mean whether they will it or not? And they're talking about how, what good is war now? We're not ready. Delay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, they don't. Well, they're saying they're not ready. They don't want it yet. Like, they don't want. They're like, okay, if you guys could just fight a little bit slower and maybe have a
Like,
war in like a couple of years.
get along for a bit and then fight.
Yeah.
Because, so these people, whoever these two people are, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
They want the Starks and the Lannisters fighting, but just not yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they want a well, it already is, but they want a very divided, like, what would you
Country,
say? Like, kingdom?
realm.
Kingdom?
Yeah,
Yeah,
kingdom.
Kingdom, country, realm. They want it to be very divided, and then they can swoop in and, get what they want.
Swoop in and do what?
Well, I'm assuming that they want, well, not, I don't know if they want Viserys, but they want to earn, like, what they think.
Targaryens?
Yeah, like, they want the Targaryen place back. They obviously, I don't think that they approve of Robert as the king. So
Okay.
they want, I'm assuming it's just, like, leftover resentment, of their spot being taken. And
Okay.
what they deserve.
So let's talk about these people. So eventually
Okay.
they emerge out of the well, and
Mhm.
Arya notices that the one with the torch is a stout man with a stubble of dark beard, dressed in mail and a steel cap. He's carrying a dirk and a sword, and there seems to be something familiar about him to Arya. Any guesses?
Okay, so at this point, like, when I first read this, I was like, I have no idea who that is. I was like, the only, like, I always forget, like, the physical descriptors of people, and I was like, I don't know who this is. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, when they were talking, I was like, oh, it's Varys. He knows all this stuff. And then I was like, no, it's not Varys. Because then in the next chapter, after the next chapter, I was like, it's not Varys. It's, what's his name? It's Sir Barristan. I was like, it's Sir Barristan.
Because he defends Dany?
Yeah, but it's also because as they were talking, he mentions most of the King's Council, and the only people that I was like, oh, he hasn't mentioned, like you wouldn't be, like, if it was Littlefinger, he wouldn't say, God knows what Littlefinger's up to, you know what I mean? And he mentions almost...
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, they mention almost everybody that we know of, but the only people they don't mention is Maester Pycelle, Varys, and Sir Barristan. From
Look at
what I remember. From what
I didn't even think about it like that. It's because, like, I know who these people are,
yeah,
so I don't
yeah.
have
For
to.
me, I had, like, that was all I had to go off of. Because at this point, like, when I read that phrase, I was like, it could be anybody. But then as they kept talking, I was, like, trying to cross off the names.
Well,
and then,
a couple things. So, Barristan isn't really known to be stout.
I don't know anybody who's known to be stout, Nav.
And then Pycelle has a long white beard.
That's true. I think
and Varys is a eunuch, so he can't grow a beard.
Oh yeah, because the person has yeah. See, physical descriptors can't do it. Okay. So yeah, because by the end of the next chapter,
let me give you a hint. Don't look so much for the physical descriptor with this guy. Look as to what he's talking about. And
okay, but I'm just saying, like, by the end of the next chapter, the only person that I had left of, like, this is who I think it is Sir Barristan.
Okay.
Everybody else, I was like, okay, I don't think it's them anymore. And we can get to that after.
All right. Okay, and then the other guy is a rich, fat guy. And I say rich because he's wearing all these rings, and he has a foreign accent and a forked yellow beard. Now,
as soon as they said yellow, as soon as they said, like, accent of the Free Cities, I was like, Illyrio. And then as soon as they said forked yellow beard, I was like, I remember the amount of times I was like, oh, they keep describing him as yellow, and I was like, I think it's Illyrio.
Okay.
And then as they kept talking further and they were talking about Dany, I was like, it's Illyrio.
I will give you that. Yes, it's Illyrio.
Yay!
And the other one, I'm going to give you more hints as we talk about this chapter.
Okay,
and let's see if you...
I have to pay attention. Yes.
Let's see if you're on the right track. I will say that.
Okay. Dang, no. But the fact that you have to give me hints means that I'm not on the right track.
Okay, well, let's talk about what they're talking about. So they're talking about how the princess is pregnant and the Khal doesn't want to move until his son is born. So we can kind of assume who that is. Yes. And they know about them. And it makes sense if that's Illyrio, he would know those things. And then the stout man, I'm just going to keep referring to him as that, he pushes on something in the wall or whatever, and all of a sudden, this rock slides down from the ceiling and covers the well.
But she was really close. She was, like, literally right there.
Yeah, it's amazing that she didn't flinch. But here's the question. Okay, so to close the well, he can push on something and drop the rock. But how do they open the well?
Maybe like somewhere underneath the well, like, you know, in the dungeon of the well.
What is, like, is there a
maybe there's a button there that, like, pushes it up. I don't know.
But, like, to lift a rock,
that's true. You need lot. Like, yeah, that's true.
Anyway,
I don't know.
So these are the weird things that I think about sometimes. So the point is that the well is well hidden, and nobody knows it was there.
Oh my gosh.
Pun intended.
The well is well hidden. Love that.
So anyway, they start walking down the hall, and Arya's like, well, I got nowhere else to go, so I'm just gonna follow them.
Swift as a feather.
No. Not swift as a feather. It's not swift as a feather.
Oh, it's light as a feather. Oh, what's it? Swift as the wind? Is that what she says?
Swift as a deer. So it's quiet as a shadow, light as a feather, quick as a snake, calm as still water, smooth as summer silks, swift as a deer, slippery as an eel, strong as a bear, fierce as a wolverine. Those are all the ones.
This should be my grad quote.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh my gosh.
But then people are gonna come up to you and start spoiling you, so...
Oh. Okay, but like, oh, that's true, yeah. I was gonna say, oh, that'll be like, nobody gets the yearbook until 3 months after, but then I was like, we're not gonna be done 3 months after my grad.
Yeah. So anyway, what are we talking about here?
The stout man.
Okay, so thank you. See, all of my sentences either start with she or he or the stout man, and I never know where I am at. So the stout man says that Stannis and Lysa are out of his reach now, but whispers say that they are gathering fighters. Whispers. What do you think about that?
I mean, the way you were just like, whispers, we're thinking about, I was about to say Sir, Lord, they're all called lords, right? If they're on the council?
Yes, I believe
yeah,
so.
Lord Varys.
I mean, Sir Barristan, because he's a knight.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But, okay, yeah, when they were talking, and, like, I was like, oh, whispers. I was thinking the exact same things. I was like, it's Varys. But then in the next chapter, in the next chapter...
Okay, we'll talk about it when we get to the next chapter.
Okay. But yeah, at this point, I was like, ooh, Varys. Who else would know everything?
Okay, wait, tell me, what about the next chapter?
Oh, in the next chapter, when Varys brings the news and he votes against it, and I guess that could just be, like, you know, trying not to...
giving away his game.
Yeah, but I don't know.
That's one piece of evidence against multiple pieces of evidence. But anyway, okay.
Yeah,
so they're talking about how Renly and Loras, with that weird picture of Loras' sister, what they were planning to do.
That finally, I was like, that is, I don't know why, but I literally laughed when it got to that. I was like, that is just funny.
It is a weird plan.
Like, you know, I thought it was gonna be like, you know, I was like, oh, he's doing it out of like,
love or jealousy.
Like, yeah, you know, suspicion. Like all of these serious things, but I feel like those are the perfect characters to have been planning that.
Yeah, but to to replace a queen, that's a pretty serious thing. So let's tell people what the plan is. The plan is to have Robert fall in love with this, you know, somewhat Lyanna look-alike, and have him marry her and replace Cersei. Mm-hmm. And that's serious business. That would, like, put the Lannisters out of a lot of power.
Yeah. So they're not gonna just be like, okay, you can...
Yeah,
like,
but,
like, it would definitely never happen, because there's just so much that they can hold over his head. Like, he can't just go and marry someone else.
But... yeah, it was a plan they were making, though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, these are kind of like those characters. Like Littlefinger would never do this, you know?
Oh, it would be more like sly and carefully planned or whatever.
Yeah, like these characters, just their vibe. I'm like, yeah, they wouldn't think this through.
Okay.
You
So
know?
anyway, they're talking about how he has the bastard, he has the book, and soon enough he'll have the truth.
Yes.
And what truth is that?
I don't know, man. Like, someone's not a right... I don't know. The only guess I have at this point is that... what's his name?
There's
I don't know.
A lot of
just
people.
Someone's... oh, what's his name? Oh, what's it?
Who?
Cersei's son.
Joffrey Tommen?
Joffrey.
Okay.
The only thing I have for you is, like, Joffrey's not the rightful heir. Why? I don't know. We went over this last chapter with all of my, like, fail theories that I was like, I don't even believe this, and it's my theory. So.
Okay, but what would make him not the rightful heir?
If somebody else was the rightful queen, or if the queen had another son.
What? Okay, you're not making any sense. Queen had another son before Joffrey.
Yes, and that was. But
so
I don't
there's
know.
a secret son that Robert has that he doesn't know about, and that's the rightful heir.
Yes, that is all I have for you. I know it's a like crackpot theory, but that's all I have for you.
Every time you start talking, it's like I can't say anything further. Okay, moving on.
Okay, whatever.
So these people, they already know that Catelyn has abducted Tyrion.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, people find out about this. The people that we like. The people that we know for sure find out about this happens at the end of this chapter.
Yeah, and you know, Yoren says he rode ahead of everybody else to King's Landing.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So, like, one of their men would have had to have been there in the inn then.
Or heard about it somehow. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, they are very informed, which once again points to Varys.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, eventually their voices fade away as they're talking about birds and how younger ones that know their letters are better.
Okay, this was really weird, where he was like, I'm gonna need 50 more birds. And Kay, you're not gonna believe me. You're not gonna believe me, but I swear I'm not lying. I wouldn't lie to you, okay?
You haven't said anything.
No, but you're gonna think that I'm just saying this. But anyway, so like a few chapters ago, somebody was talking to Ned, and they made this like special mention of a crow. And I was like, what if his like whisperer's thing is like birds? But I never mentioned it. I don't know why I never mentioned it to you. And now he's like asking for birds, and I was like, wait, what if that's related? I don't know.
Okay,
if it's still
so
a
they
crackpot
use
theory.
ravens to send messages.
Yes.
That's a thing. Like, we know that.
Yes. But can't it also
There
be
was
like
somebody who talked about the whisperings of little birds to Ned at some point. I won't tell you when, but you know.
Yeah, anyway, I don't know. My brain was just going crazy, and I was like, hey, I need to just keep reading, because nothing I'm thinking makes
read
sense.
the end, like, you know, the last half of Ned's last chapter. It might
Ned's
remind...
last chapters?
Like, no, like, the last chapter we read before this.
Oh, okay, the one where he was talking to,
It was a tourney,
Varys.
and there was a lot of things.
I see. Okay.
Okay, hold on. What chapter? That would have been 30, right? 30. 30.
30.
Okay.
Let me find that in my trusty...
Yeah, let's both look at that.
Let us read the truth of the Westeros kingdom. Tyrion, Varys... Oh, there we go. I don't know where the last half would be. I'm assuming it's like here-ish. Okay.
You know what? I think I was mistaken.
The visitor! Oh my gosh. In the previous chapter, so it also describes Varys as a stout man.
Does it?
It does! Okay, so it is Varys, and I guess because I was between, what happened was I was like, okay, it's Varys or Barristan? And then, because I was like, I feel like I trust the Maester Pycelle. I feel like I shouldn't, because anytime I trust a character, they annoy me. But I trusted Maester, so I ruled him out. And I think I was just trying really hard to rule them out. And I was like, hey, the first sign of proof that I get. So I was like, hey, it's not Varys. But he's a stout man. Anyway,
okay.
I'm gonna find that
I shall confirm it for you. Yes, it's Varys. You know what? I was mistaken about the birds thing. Forget about it.
Okay. I see.
It'll come up later. It's not as important as it seems.
It's okay. I'm glad that I was like, ooh, stout man.
Yeah, at least we came upon something.
Yes.
So, la 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 la.
And I'm glad that it's Varys, and here's why. Because I was freaking out. I was like, okay, I know that Varys knows just everything, and I'd come to terms with Varys knowing everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, oh my gosh, now another person knows everything? Like, how many people know everything, you know? And I was just like, what? So
everybody apparently, except Ned.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was seeming like. And Ned's my favorite character. And I was like, buddy, step it up.
He is? I didn't know that.
He's like becoming my favorite character. At this point, there's nobody like
close to
competition.
Okay.
But I'm sure as the series progresses, he will, because he's not going in a good direction. Sometimes he does things where I'm just like, oh my gosh, just do it.
But anyway. I'm honorable. Okay. So, back to the tunnels. So, Arya's following these people. They eventually, just they leave or, slip down another tunnel or something. She loses them. That's the point. But all she can do is continue down the tunnel. All she can do is continue down the tunnel until she emerges out of a sewer that empties into the river. And she realizes that she's like far outside the castle, so she's walked for miles. And at this point, she's like, well, all I can do is walk back to the castle. So, but she was just in a sewer, so she takes a swim to clean herself and washes her clothes. Good thinking, Arya. Because if you smelled like a sewer, those guards would have never believed you. Like, even less so.
Yeah.
Speaking of the guards, so she gets to the castle, and the guards are like, where do you think you're going? You know?
Yeah.
They're really rude to her. Until she sasses them to their senses.
She's like, I'm Arya Stark of Winterfell.
Yeah, one of them is like, leave, or do you need a cloud about your ear to help your hearing? And then when she's like, you know, telling my dad's this, or that, now go get him, or do you need a cloud about your ear? And she's like tiny, so you know, the idea of this 9-year-old saying these things is very amusing to me.
A guard of the castle. Or the Red Keep.
Well, castle, Red Keep, same thing.
Yes.
The Red Keep is a castle. The castle in King's Landing is the Red Keep. So, she makes her way to the castle. The guards, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, the guards bring whoever to take her to her dad, and they take her to her dad, who is sitting there reading a big-ass book. In fact, the biggest book that Arya's ever seen, so she's not a reader. Got it. Yes. So he's, you know, understandably, he's like, I had my whole guard looking out for you. Where were you? How dare you leave the castle? And she's like, well, I never left the gates. I was just following these strange men in a tunnel.
That's literally what she sounded like. And she was like, yeah, and then there was like a wizard, and then there was a wizard, and there was monsters, and it was this whole thing. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, poor
like,
Arya.
Okay, she does say that they were talking about killing you, and they said that you had a book and a bastard, and that if one hand could die, why not a second? Like, those are very important things.
Those are, I was thinking about that too. I was like, buddy, those are very specific details. And at first I was like, Ned is just being stupid. And then I was like, maybe he's just trying to not get her, like, involved. Like, you know, if he tells her...
But in his chapter, we never hear
of it. Yeah, so he probably did disregard it. He might remember it at a moment when he's, like about to die and it's useless information.
The men, they were talking about how one of them was a wizard for all the things he can do, or, like, he has a million things to juggle, and that the Lannisters made a mummer's farce of their assassination attempt. And Arya, being 9, mixes all this up. And, you know, Ned's like, okay, juggling, wizard, mummer's farce. Oh, therefore they're mummers, you know? And it's also easier to accept that to the seriousness, you know? Like, if you had a choice to which truth, or, you know, which one did you hope it was true?
Yeah,
would you want there to be somebody planning your death, or...
I know, but he's been shouting out the truth for, like, the past, I don't even know how long. And now he's just like, I don't know. It's like selective truth. Okay, that's what we're doing now? Like, come on, Ned.
Yeah, and it's not like, well, what if he had, like, taken her seriously? The only thing he would have gotten is, like, a warning that people are aware of what he's doing and plotting against him. Like, you know. Yeah. So he just would have been more aware of what he's doing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he does not... He asks if Arya, if the wizard looks like Dumbledore, basically. Which is really interesting that their idea of a wizard is what our idea of a wizard is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway. Wizards, monsters... It's all a joke. Let's move on. Well, they don't even say let's move on. They're interrupted by Yoren's arrival, who we know from Tyrion's travels.
Mm-hmm.
And Yoren's like, hey, that must be your boy. And Arya's like, I'm not a boy. But, like, everybody seems to be mistaking her for a boy. And I mean, yeah, so what? So Yoren, he tells them about rushing to tell Ned something before everybody else found out. And, you know, Arya doesn't know what's happening, but we as the reader know what he's talking about. And she's escorted out of the room, and, you know, she's worried about her dad's safety. So she asked Desmond, one of the guards, how many guards Ned has, and it's 50, we learn, which is not very many, but apparently every northerner is worth 10 of Lannister guards, and wizards die the same as other men once you cut their heads off. So
yeah, but
watch out, Varys, you wizard.
Yes. Yeah, but I feel like they should be more afraid than Varys needs to be.
Right. He does have more knowledge, and knowledge is power. I don't know.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's talk about some predictions. So my first question was, what are the monsters that Arya encounters? We already figured that out, or instead I just told you. And who are the two men in the tunnel? Do you want to reiterate?
Illyrio and Lord Varys.
Cool. So here's an interesting question. Why are they collaborating?
Okay. See, before, when I thought it was Barristan, I was like, oh, well, Barristan was serving the other side. Obviously, his loyalties didn't change.
Well, so did Varys and Pycelle. Like, they were all serving King Aerys before Robert became king.
Oh, okay, and then they just continued doing their duties?
Yeah.
Oh. Did I know that?
I feel like you did at some point. It's not very, like, elaborated, but it's not that big a deal, so I'm just telling you.
Okay, cool. Oh, okay. I guess, okay, fine. Then their loyalties haven't changed, and maybe they're like, okay, Robert is a terrible king, but we also don't want the Lannisters. But there's nobody else.
Is Viserys going to be a very good king?
Well, maybe they're not trying to make Viserys the king. Maybe they're like, oh, well, Viserys is the only option. Maybe they're trying to make her son the king. Daenerys' son, if she has a son, the king.
The potential child that will be grown up in 20 years.
Okay, yeah, but I guess
they're talking about delaying. I don't know if you can delay war for 20 years.
That's true. I guess they can't have been thinking about that because that wasn't even a thing until now. But I feel you're right, though. Like, is Viserys any better than them? Maybe. You know what? Let's just say they think Viserys is better. I mean, so they want
Illyrio did live with Viserys for 6 months. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true. But maybe. See, but why else are they trying to, I don't know. Yet.
Clearly you don't. Okay. So, next question. How do they know all these secrets and pieces of information?
Varys has a bird network.
Okay. So, there's crows that come to his window every morning and report of the day's deeds.
Yes. I know that sounds stupid, but yes. Or maybe a more logical prediction. He just has a lot of dirt on people. So
well, they talk about the birds that know their letters. What does that mean?
Birds that know their letters. Birds that know their... Whoa, well, like birds deliver letters.
Okay.
So right, it's like...
Is that same as... Okay, they know where to deliver letters? Like, that's what they know?
Well...
Okay.
Maybe... I don't know.
It's not important. Okay, moving on. So what... Well... I think this is already kind of... You already touched on it. But what are they planning and what are they not ready for?
Okay. They are not ready for the kingdom to fight because... they're not ready for the Lannisters and the Starks to fight because that is of no benefit to them because there is not... They don't have somebody yet who can take the place of Robert.
Okay.
They don't have the
next king lined up.
Yeah.
Joffrey, but maybe they don't like Joffrey.
Yeah, they don't want Joffrey because that's just Lannisters on the throne.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Dear Neddard. So, as we come to this chapter, Ned and Robert are arguing, and we find out it's because Robert wants to kill Dany and her dragon spawn, as he calls it.
Yes.
So Ned, understandably, is not very happy about it. He's an honorable guy, not really for killing children, you might say.
Yes, Robert used to care about things like that, but now he's like, now, I can see I can see the shadow of a sword hanging over or axe hanging over my head. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
And that's like, why you walked so you're afraid of the shadow of a fetus? Like, what is...
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so you couldn't recognize when the axe was literally right, like, over top of your head.
The queen's plot to kill him.
But you're recognizing the axe when it's, like, in the other room. Like, okay, you just hear the axe. Okay, whatever.
In the other room. On a different continent, rather.
Yes, that's
not
true.
even in existence yet.
Yes.
So, anyway, Ned, he's trying to explain. He's like, she can have a miscarriage. Or have a girl, and that'll be useless.
Yeah.
Or the kid could die in infancy. Like, there's all these possibilities. Kids don't survive very long all the time. This is, tough times. Mm-hmm. And everybody else is like, nah, she's gotta die. Except Barristan, who's like, there's no honor in killing a kid. So let's just let this potential kid grow up and have him fight us in war.
Yeah. And Ned's like, which sounded awfully suspicious to me.
What?
And Ned, like, before, I was like, oh, of course he wants that. He's part of the plot.
Oh,
and then Ned kind of brings up, he's like, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta have mercy on people. Like, we had mercy on these people.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they're on our side now. I'm like, yeah, they are.
So anyway, Renly, he points out that they should have killed the Targaryens years ago, but Robert listened to Jon Arryn. So now this tells us that Viserys' fears of, like, the usurpers' knives are kind of baseless, because Jon Arryn convinced Robert to never send them.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing we learned.
I think that just everything
Viserys knows is just a misconception.
It's just baseless. I would, like, normally, in a normal situation with people that aren't Viserys, I would like to not just be like, no, everything you say is useless, but...
Well, you still wanted redemption for the dude, so...
For who?
Viserys. Last time you were like, I want him to be redeemed.
Did I?
Oh yeah, you 100%. Ask the recording.
No. Why? When?
In the last Dany chapter, you were like, I want everybody to be redeemed.
Okay, but I don't think I was thinking about specifically Viserys.
It was specifically Viserys I asked about.
Really?
Yes.
Why would I say that?
Okay, so now you've changed your mind, is what you're saying?
It's not that I've changed my mind, I don't have a clear judgment yet. Like, I haven't, the only place I've seen him is in his, like, power-hungry, like, monstrous state of mind. And it might just be, like, an eternal thing that he never grows out of, but...
Okay, anyway, this is not a Viserys chapter, this is a Ned chapter. So, yes. Ned is not happy, but
Ned is pushing the limit, and he knows it.
Pycelle's like, hey, calm down, if she dies, we'll avoid a war, and so many more will die in war. Very utilitarian of him, So, Varys is like, yeah, that's true. And Littlefinger, he makes some stupid joke about being in bed with an ugly woman, so just get it done with, or whatever. Yeah, it's so gross, I hate him.
I was just like, bruh, like, you, okay? Yeah. Okay. That was my reaction, literally.
So anyway, everybody's like giving their input, and it's kind of decided that they're gonna do this. And Viserys suggests using the tears of Lys to poison her. So now this was the poison used to poison Jon Arryn, if you remember. And Pycelle gives him a suspicious look. Now, what's that about?
I don't know. Maybe Pycelle knew that it was the Tears of Lys, and he was like, no, I'm just gonna mind my own business. Doesn't concern me that the hand of the king got poisoned, you know?
Okay. All right. So Ned refuses to be a part of this murder, and he's like, I quit. And Robert's
I'm like, bro,
fine.
I'm like, okay, I get where he's coming from, but, like, you're fighting for this one, for two people, technically. You're fighting for these two people. I get that, but at the same time, you resign as Hand of the King. Who becomes Hand of the King? Probably another Lannister. Like, you're not...
Yeah, like...
And then, like, you resigning isn't gonna get their lives saved. It's just gonna make things worse.
Yeah, but it's his principles, you know? He's gotta
I
live
know,
by them.
but he's... Okay, he wants to live by his principles so he can, you know, like, be better and make the world better, right?
Yeah.
But if living by his principles is not gonna accomplish that...
Then maybe
you know,
abandon your
anyway.
principles. Okay, I see. Anyway, Robert is taken aback for a second, and there's this really good sentence. It says that defiance was not a dish he tasted often.
I liked that sentence.
Yes, it's good. But eventually he's like, leave or I will have your head on a spike the next time I see you. So Ned's like, oh, okay, I'm going home. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. So he leaves. Why don't you do the rest of the summarizing? I'm so tired.
Okay, so he goes back to his tower and he calls his steward. What's his name again?
Payne. No. Poole.
Jeremy Poole.
Not
He
Jeremy.
calls-
It's something else Poole.
Okay, whatever. Mr. Poole. That sounds weird to say. Whatever, it's Mr. Poole. He calls Mr. Poole up and he's like, okay, we're gonna be leaving, so prepare everything. And he's like, okay, but it'll take 14 days. And he's like, okay, you guys can just catch up. Me and the girls are just gonna head out for a fun night, you know? And he's doing this, and and then he gets lost in his mind, and he's like, oh my gosh, I can go to Winterfell, and, like, I can see Catelyn again, and, like, my son, and, like, it's gonna be so great, we're just gonna have a fun time. But then he's like, wait. Then he kind of is thinking about, like, what I was saying earlier. He's like, wait, King's Landing is...
A
Oof,
mess.
I haven't done, like, anything that I wanted to do, and I've, like, barely cracked the code, barely cracked the...
Case. Code.
Yes, barely cracked
Secret.
the case for John Arryn, and he's just like, oh my gosh, there's just so many unfinished things. And he's thinking about taking a ship and crossing the sea and going to Dragonstone.
Well,
And at this
before
point, I
he
was
had
like,
planned to take the King's Road, but now he's like, if I take a ship, I can go to Dragonstone and talk to Stannis.
I honestly, like, when they did, like, when he did the, like, whole, I'm gonna resign, and King Robert was like, fine, do it. And I was like, it's not gonna happen. And then, like, I was like, oh, he's not just gonna leave. And then when they said the 14 days, I was like, oh, definitely things are gonna change in 14 days. But when he said the thing about the ship and crossing the ocean and going to Dragonstone, and I was like, oh, this is the place where the stories intertwine. This is definitely gonna happen, you know?
But
But then
he's
it didn't.
What do you mean it didn't?
But now I'm thinking that it won't. And we can get to the end and then I'll explain
all
why.
right.
Yeah.
So anyway, Littlefinger comes in, being his weird, creepy self. Ugh. Okay. I just can't not every
know.
time I
He's-
think of him.
He either has, like, entertaining moments or he just has, like, annoying moments.
Yes.
He's just
His-
annoying.
like, he can be entertaining, but recently, so I'm on the 4th book now, but recently,
Weren't you on the 3rd book last week?
oh yeah, I read.
Oh my gosh, dang. You've been reading, girl? That's good.
In, like, my reread of the books, I have come upon some really disturbing scenes with Littlefinger, and it's just...
So he just continues to be
Well,
around.
I'm not gonna say which book, I'm just saying, like, in my reread, I'm reminded more of his
I see.
grossness.
I
So,
see.
okay, anyway. So, Littlefinger is like, oh, I totally saved Daenerys' life by letting some, sellsword attempt to kill her instead of sending a faceless man, which is what Robert wanted to do, apparently.
Yeah.
And he's like, if we sent a
You
faceless
probably
man,
also-
she'd be as good as dead.
Yeah, but you're probably... I think the only good he actually did there is save the kingdom from going into further debt from the Lannisters.
Right.
Because they're, like, really expensive.
Yes. But, I mean, he does make a good point. Like, if somebody tries to kill Daenerys and fails, then she will be more well-guarded.
Yeah.
So, that's true.
Yeah.
Just as long as the first person fails.
Yeah, but he's really banking on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he really cares. I don't think.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, the big deal at the end is that he tells Ned that he can take him to the brothel that Jory's been looking for.
So now just everybody knows everything that Ned's trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wasn't supposed to know that, right? Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't supposed to know that, but he does. So I'm not even gonna bother asking how he knows that.
Maybe he sent his own men to look for the brothel, you know? He could have been doing his own investigation.
That's true. But now I'm like, okay, well, Ned's I feel like at this point, Ned's sense of duty is just gonna pull in, and he's like, I have to, because if I leave, who's gonna crack the code, you know? So he's like, hey, I'll stay the night, check out this brothel. So that's why I think he's not gonna cross well, he could just cross the sea after and go to Dragonstone after. So I still think that.
Okay.
He will.
Alright, let's get to predictions, and we'll sort these out. So, first off, is Littlefinger telling the truth?
Does Littlefinger even know if he's telling the truth?
Like, maybe he thinks he's found the brothel, or...
Okay, about the brothel, I think, yes, he's telling the truth. But I think that the brothel is gonna end up being, like, a pretty useless lead, and that's why he's telling the truth about the brothel.
Okay. But why didn't he tell Ned before?
Well, before he wasn't looking for the brothel.
Oh, okay. So he just found it and it's not as useful, so he's like, I'll give him this information.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up. You think it's gonna be useless, but what is it that Ned's gonna find at the brothel?
Okay, so... Wait! Oh my gosh! I'm so stupid. I don't know if I'm just remembering it. Sorry, I don't know if I'm just remembering it wrong, but in the last, like, when we were talking about the brothel, we were like, oh, they go to... Oh, no, they do. Never mind. I was just mixing up what happened. Okay, yeah, they're going to the brothel. What was your question?
What will Ned find at the brothel?
Okay, well, Ned find at the brothel.
Sorry, I'm gonna say it again. What will Ned find at the brothel?
Okay, so Gendry's mom is dead.
Yes.
Okay, Gendry's mom is death. Is
Death.
She's the personification of death. She is dead. So, since she's dead. Okay, so Gendry's mom is dead. So, do we know that Gendry's mom works at the brothel, or is that what I think?
She used to work in an alehouse. We talked about this.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we talked. Sorry, I literally just forgot. Okay, so they're gonna go to the brothel. They're gonna find somebody who knows Gendry's mom. And wait, but I just said it's gonna be a dead end. Okay, maybe she knows Gendry's mom, and she'll give like a clue that we think is useless, but then it ends up being useful later on.
Okay. So complicated. Yes. Anyway, so this is the question. Will Ned be actually able to leave the King's Landing? Will Ned be able to leave King's Landing?
I don't think so. I feel like we need someone at King's Landing, you know?
Right.
To know what's going on. Like, we don't have any other narrators from there.
I mean, Sansa and Arya, but they're both going with him, so...
Yeah.
Unless they don't, for whatever reason.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but then I was like, I don't think so.
Okay.
Watch that bite me later, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Okay. So Sansa and Arya aren't gonna be left alone at the castle without Ned. Got it. No. So will Ned be able to meet with Stannis?
Oh, because if he doesn't leave, then he can't meet with Stannis, so I have to commit to one or the other. Okay, he's not gonna leave, and he's not gonna be able to meet with Stannis.
Okay, well, high stakes there. Put in your bets, okay. Alright, next question. Will Daenerys be killed?
Ooh, no. No.
Okay.
Daenerys is here to stay.
All
Watch
right.
that also bite me later. Watch her be dead before the end of the first. No, I think she's a character who's gonna stay through the 5 books.
Okay.
She has the main character vibe. She will stay.
Sure. Who else would you say has the main character vibe? Vibe.
John is gonna stay.
Okay.
John
does not-
Aaron. No,
John
John
Aaron.
Aaron. No.
John Aaron's already dead.
Jon Snow. It's because we haven't talked about Jon Snow in these chapters, so my brain went John Aaron. No, Jon Snow feels like a main character. Daenerys feels like a main character. I've already said multiple times that one of Catelyn and Ned is gonna die. So one
Okay.
of them's gonna die, the other one dies later.
Okay, so they're both gonna die.
Yes.
Okay.
Lysa's son dies.
Wait, he's not like one of the POV chapters. Talk about the POV
Oh, we're
characters.
just talking. Okay. Tyrion feels like a character that we end up liking more and more and more and more. And then once you really like him, he's gonna die. So he'll die end of 4th book.
Okay.
And then
That sucks. Okay. Arya, Sansa.
Arya Sansa, I don't think they're gonna die.
No, are they main characters? You're forgetting what the question is. Who are the main characters?
Oh, no, they're not main characters. They're side characters, you know?
Okay. Bran, he's the other one. Who else is there?
Bran just feels... Well, for this portion of the story, Bran feels useless. Because...
Wow, you just called him useless. Okay.
Well, he's not doing anything. Arya's Arya's literally... He's like Sansa, where he's kind of just
But he
there.
is our eyes at Winterfell, though.
That's true. Yeah, we don't have anyone. Yeah, and who knows if Ned or Catelyn's gonna make it back. Okay, you know what? Bran's hanging out, but he's more of a side character.
Okay,
now.
so the main characters are Jon and Daenerys.
Yes.
That's your... Okay.
Okay,
All right.
Jon, Daenerys, and Arya.
And Arya? Okay.
Yes.
Why Arya, not Sansa?
Because
Because of the patriarchy, sorry.
I think Arya's more engaging, so she would be more of I feel like she's written to be more engaging because she's more main character, so there will be more development. I'm sure Sansa will have a lot of development as well, but I don't think it's... I think she's just gonna have more development, so more main character.
All right, we've been on this tangent for long enough. Let's go back to Catelyn.
Yes.
So, Catelyn and her party are arriving at the gate to the Vale, and we learned that they've lost 6 people on the way there. And Sir Donal, that's his name.
Yeah.
The guy who meets them.
Every time we do a summary, I always say the guy whose name starts with a blank. I do that every single time.
There's a lot of names. Thousands. I've already told
Yes.
you.
Yes.
So he's talking about how the clans need to be taught a lesson. They've grown bolder since Jon Arryn died. But all Lysa wants to do is keep her swords close to home. Who knows what
she
for?
is afraid. She is afraid of Lannies.
Lannies? What? Okay, so Catelyn at this point notices and looks back to Tyrion and Bronn joking, and she's like, I don't like that they've bonded. He cannot have a friend, he's a prisoner.
He is getting
Basically.
too comfortable.
Yeah, and she notices that he's got the shadow skin cloak that we didn't talk about it the last chapter, but he was eyeing this cloak the whole last chapter. And apparently he wanted dicing with the singer, so good for him.
Yeah.
So he must be very warm. And there's 200 men that come to escort them to the gate. And I googled what 200 means. It means 40 because 1 score is 20.
I see.
The more you know. So there's 40 men surrounding them, and she's talking about how Tyrion is not even a little bit afraid. And then she's like, oh, what if he's innocent? What if I made a mistake?
Yes, you're thinking about this now.
Yeah, but also she's like, I've come too far. I can't let myself think that now.
Yeah.
for all she knows, she's like already started a war, and like now to be doubting her,
That's true.
decisions is it's not. It's like choosing the truth you like over the truth that is the truth. Okay, that was not very wise. Moving on. So, Catelyn's uncle, Brynden Tully, is the Knight of the Gate. We heard about him before, but now we meet him. And he's cool,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, so Catelyn's like, hey, can you get your Maester Dr. Healer down here so he can look at my Sir Roderick? And they're like, well, Lysa won't let the Maester leave. She wants him close too. So
Yeah.
Sir Roderick just has to stay back and, recover with the help of some prayers that a Septon can offer. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And Marillion, the singer, asked to go with Catelyn, and, she's like, oh, well, he made it this far, why not? And then Bronn is like, I'll come with you as well. And she notes that he doesn't ask her permission. Oh.
Yeah.
She's like, he's a good fighter, but he has no loyalty. Oh, I don't like him.
Yeah. But also, think about it. She's, like, mentally prepping for a war. She's gonna, like, this is all she's thinking about now.
Yeah. So, anyway, we learn from Brynden Tully, the Blackfish, that Lysa has commanded everybody to call Robert Arryn the true Warden of the East,
Yeah. I remember, because when I read that, I ignored the word true when they first referred to it before, like, explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I thought she wanted him to be warden, but she wasn't able to. I was like, what? He got the warden position? I didn't even know. And then when they explained it, I was like, oh, I just ignored the true.
Yeah. So anyway, Catelyn, she goes through the gate and they emerge out to the Vale, which is
beautiful.
Yeah. Sorry, that's only funny because that's what it says in the notes, because I couldn't, that was how I summed up all the descriptions. So anyway, they climb down into the beautiful Vale and through the valley to the Giant's Lance, which is one of the tallest mountains in the Vale. And, Cat and her uncle are talking on the way, and she tells him the whole tale and all the things. And we learn why he's called the Blackfish. Do you remember?
Yeah, his brother called him the bad goat.
The black goat.
And he was like, oh, well, our sigil's a trout, so I'm the black
fish.
Yeah.
I know.
This is just my name.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, that's a good way of being petty. There's bad ways of being petty. I like that way of being petty,
Just embracing whatever insult people throw at you. Yeah, why not? Yeah. So, okay. He's telling her about how everybody in the Vale is angry because Jaime's been named Warden of the East, and people also have suspicions about Jon Arryn's death. So, that's a thing. And then he talks about how Robert Arryn, the child, is weak, and so Lysa has to remarry so that there could be, an actual protector of the Vale or whatever.
Yeah.
And Kat's like, oh, she's willing to do that, and apparently she is, as long as she gets to choose who. So
that's cool. But he
Good
thinks
for her.
that she's just gonna be like, oh, I don't like him, to every single person, just so she doesn't have to get married until her son can rule.
So she's
Brynden thinks
really
that.
just planning on ruling herself.
Yeah.
And she's just saying this so that people won't hassle her or,
Yeah.
So, okay, at this point, he tells Catelyn that Lysa's not the same person that she remembers. She's had a tough life. She had a political marriage as opposed to a passionate one. And Catelyn's like, yeah, so did I. So what? And then he's like, yeah, but you've got 20 kids and a loving husband. It's not the same, Because apparently Lysa's had several miscarriages and stillbirths. Yeah. And now her husband's dead. So that's not good.
Yeah, and a lot of the marriages in the high houses seem to be just political marriages.
Well, yeah, that's what they do.
They got it. I know. I'm not saying oh, I didn't know that. I'm just pointing it out.
Right. For Catelyn, it worked out well. That it seems like she and Ned actually love or tolerate each other. No, I think they actually love each other.
I think they do actually. Yeah.
Okay. So Lysa, he mentions, is afraid of the Lannisters. That's why she's hiding in her veil. And he's like, and you brought one right to her home. And Catelyn's like, yeah, in chains. And then they're like, I don't see no chains. Tyrion Lannister started as a captive and prisoner, but he's like slowly become, as free as anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, you do the rest.
Okay. So they finally reach the castle, and it's like fully dark at this point. Catelyn's like, okay,
well, the castle at the foot of the mountain. There's several castles.
Yes,
so
that's true. They have like a million castles. You're right. The castle just on ground level, I guess, is there, and it's night at this point. And okay, it's night at this point, and Catelyn just wants to rest there for a night, but Lysa's like, no, I want to see you guys right now.
Not you guys, just Catelyn.
Yeah, I need to see my sister. I miss my sister, And this girl, Maya Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I remembered her name. Look at me remembering names. Anyway,
I mean, it is there at one point.
Oh, I didn't see that. I remembered it.
Maya Stone.
Maya Stone is like, I can get you there safely. I have night owl eyes. No big deal. And she's like, okay. And then when she introduces herself...
At this point, Catelyn's like, oh, this is a delightful young lady. And then she's like, do you have a name? Like, as if somebody wouldn't have a name, And then she's like, oh, I'm Maya Stone. And all of a sudden, Catelyn's like,
okay, I didn't know that Flower, what's his name? Knight of Flowers, what's his name?
Loras?
Okay, wait, what's his last name?
Tyrell. He's the Knight of Flowers because he wears flowers, but he's not a flower himself.
Okay, I couldn't remember his last name. And, I could have looked in the appendix for the Tyrells. But see, at that point, I didn't remember that he was a Tyrell, and I was like, what?
It's Sir
He's a
Loras
bastard?
Tyrell.
I didn't know that?
No,
okay,
he's
I got
not.
it. I got you. Just the flower confused me.
Right. So...
anyway, so she's like, oh, okay, yeah, I trust you. So they
begrudgingly, she's like, okay, I got no choice, even if she's a bastard. Oh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Jon put such
a
bad taste in my mouth.
Catelyn's pretty good, but then she like thinks such things as that, and then you're like, oh, Catelyn, come on.
Yeah, I know, but I guess everybody has their
bad low moment.
Bad
yeah,
things, yes.
I don't begrudge her as much as I did at first.
Yeah.
So,
but they
go ahead.
So they ride the mules up, and it's like kind of dark at this point, and they're kind of just going through. And every time they get to a castle, they stop and they like have some water or like change mules and stuff.
Yeah,
and it gets steeper and steeper, and the castles get smaller. And so the first one is stone, then it's snow, and then it's sky. Nice little alliteration there. So, when they're going from stone to sky, they have to cross a narrow bridge.
No, snow to sky.
Oh, I said stone to sky. My bad.
Wait, before that, so up to the first castle, Maya's talking about her love, Michael Redford.
Yeah.
And Catelyn's like,
this was so sad.
He's a highborn whatever. I don't think he'll ever marry a bastard. And she never, like, says it, but she's thinking it.
And she's kind of like Sansa. She just has her dreams, and that's where she lives.
Yeah, but she's a bastard, so she doesn't deserve dreams.
Apparently. Yes.
So anyway, and then at one point, when they're at snow, Maya's telling Catelyn about how, like, back in the day, there used to be snow covering the mountain until the snow castle, but she's never seen it. And Catelyn, like, intuitively she wants to say winter is coming, but then she doesn't, and she's like, maybe I'm becoming a Stark finally.
That was kind of funny. I was like, I mean, winter is coming. What do you say?
Yeah, and then between snow and sky, they have to cross that narrow bridge, and it doesn't even have a guardrail. And Catelyn's just frozen because she literally cannot move out of fear.
Yeah. And Maya like guides her like very. She was so sweet, and it was like this like soothing moment, and I was like, oh. Yeah. And then they cross the bridge thingy. They get to Sky, And by then, it's dawn, and Catelyn's like, you know what? Lannisters have their pride. I have a brain, so
Yes.
I'm gonna ride in the basket. And so she does that.
Because the last, like, up from Sky to the Eyrie, it's literally just a shaft, like a chimney that you have to climb up.
Yeah.
I know they're, like, trying to make it hard for people to overtake the castle, but come on!
Yeah.
It's a bit of overkill.
Yeah, literally.
So she rides up the basket, and, you know, they get there, and they're like, oh, you've just woken the lady, and she'll be right here. And she's like, oh yeah, I hope she slept well.
Yeah.
Because,
That
you know,
was kinda
she
funny.
hasn't slept in 24 hours, probably. So,
Yeah.
I understand that. I get very cranky when I don't get enough sleep, or when I'm hungry, which I am
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
Don't
So-
you dare yawn on me.
I didn't try to. Okay, so she goes in, and Lysa's like, oh my gosh, hey sis. And this is when other people are still in the room. And Catelyn's kind of observing that Lysa has gained weight, and she looks older than Cat, even though she's 2 years younger than Cat. And her eyes have paled, and they're very watery.
Yeah,
And
she's not the
it's-
beautiful, young, high-breasted girl that she remembers. I was like, okay, I guess that's a way to describe somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of weird. So she's like, hey sis. And then as soon as everybody leaves, she's like, why did you bring him here?
Yes, she turns, like, right away.
Yeah, and it was this little
Catelyn's like,
intense
wait,
moment.
what are you talking about? This is your matter as much as it's mine.
Yeah. And she was like, I sent you that letter to warn you, not to start a war. And
Yeah.
Catelyn's like, what? And then at this point, her son, Robert, comes in. Or, sorry, Lysa's son, Robert, comes in. And he's small for his age, and he's sickly, as we've heard like a million times.
Yeah, and he's prone to seizures, so...
Yeah. And Lysa is very overprotective of the kid.
Mhm.
It's like so far in this book, we've seen the trend of, like, people, like, not sheltering their kids from anything, and now it's, like, the exact opposite, and Cat's like, what the heck? This kid's
Yeah.
maturity level is, like, down
She won't
there.
even let Kat say, like, anything, any serious matters in front of Robert.
Yeah.
And she
keeps,
starts
like-
breastfeeding this 6-year-old kid. I'm like,
Yeah.
you do you, but, like, 6 is a little too old. He should be eating solids by now.
Yeah. And
You don't
Like,
have an
literally
opinion on that?
yeah, I guess I really hadn't thought about it that way. Because I forgot that
Really?
he was
That's
6.
like one of the
No,
first things
I-
that people notice.
See, I forgot that he was 6 when they mentioned that. So now when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of weird. But, like, them, they do them.
Yeah,
They can do them.
it's-
Like, that's not, I don't know.
It's
I
just,
just
like,
think, like,
adds
there's...
to the kid being
Yeah.
way more childish than his age. Like,
Yeah.
it just adds to his
Yeah.
immaturity.
Yeah, for sure. But I think there's just so many things, other things to dissect. Like, literally every single time they say anything serious, she's like, oh no, blah, 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 blah. Don't say that. And it's like, okay, whatever. But, they're talking about the, like, Tyrion, and Robert's like, is he a bad man? And Lysa's like,
A very bad man.
yeah. And he's like, can we make him fly, mommy? And she's like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah, we
Um,
just might.
Yeah.
What do you think that means, make him fly?
Well, they're, like, very high up. Is it just, like, make him fall? from
Or
the
give
thing?
him wings, I don't know.
I
It's
think
that or...
it's just because they're very high up, and there's a lot of narrow ledges around on the path. I feel like it's just, hey, go fly, but he
Yes,
doesn't have
it
wings.
was just a hunting accident or a climbing accident.
Yes. I mean, we've seen both of those, so would not be shocked.
Yeah, so, okay. Alright, so that was that chapter. Now
Yeah.
let's do some predictions. I must ask once again,
Prediction.
is Tyrion innocent?
Yes.
Okay, alright, you just have to say yes or no. I know, I just have to keep asking until we get
Yes.
confirmation.
Okay.
What will what will Liza do with him?
With Tyrion?
Yes.
What will Liza do with Tyrion? She'll interrogate him. She'll be like, so, haven't seen you in a while.
Okay.
She'll interrogate him, and then...
Interrogate him how? Like, use torture methods?
No, I feel like they'll just try to ask him.
questions.
I feel like they'll just try to ask him, and then he won't budge. And then they'll be like, we're gonna beat you up if you don't listen. And he'll be like, go for it. My dad will be mad if you do that. You know? It'll just... And then
Okay.
she'll be like, you know what, we should just return him before we bring ourselves more trouble, even though the trouble has already been brought.
So
and that
she's
would be
gonna
useless.
return him to his dad.
Yes.
Okay. So things are looking up for Tyrion then.
Yes.
All right. So what'll become of Robert Arryn? Is the seed strong?
Okay. So the thing about the seed being strong,
Okay, just such a gross sentence.
I'm sure I'm like, wait 1 second, I need water. I'm sure I'm overthinking this and I'm just misleading myself here.
Okay.
The thing about the seed being strong,
Okay.
what if that's not, I know we've already dissected this, but
Okay.
I'm just gonna bring another thought.
Okay,
what if
bring
that's
it.
not about Robert Arryn? What
Okay.
if that is about Robert's bastards?
What
and it's
about
like-
the bastards?
Maybe it's like the seed is strong, so he has a lot of bastards because the seed is strong.
Okay, he's very potent.
Yes, and also, like, maybe he's talking specifically about Gendry, and he's like, oh, he's a strong boy, but he
So
can't say that in
should be
front of other
king
people.
instead of Joffrey? Like, that's what he's saying?
Yes.
But then Joffrey is also technically Robert's seed. Oh god, I hate saying this. But you know
Okay,
what I mean.
I don't know, Nav. That was just a thought I had.
Okay. Alright. I just have to, counter everything you say, because it makes me
Yes.
happy when I make you unhappy. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding. Alright, that was everything. Are you enjoying this book?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, good. It's gonna get so much more fun. Okay, calm down. Every
It's-
time. Okay, go ahead.
It's just...
Wow, it's a yawn? How dare you?
No, things are finally happening now. Like, we don't just have them traveling to the wall for millennia, you know? Like, we're
It
actually
was
getting
one
somewhere.
chapter, okay? One chapter.
Okay, but it was so boring. They were just traveling, and Tyrion was like, you do know what we're going to, right? And he was like, nobody ever told me. It's just... Anyway, moving on.
Okay, well, that was the most recent episode that I've posted. I am so behind. But it's gotten the most listens out of any other.
Ooh, okay.
So, I don't know, maybe people are just like, oh, it's not like we're gonna get another episode, so we might as well enjoy this one. Because I am so bad at editing. I am so sorry, everybody. Okay, speaking of that, I have something else to mention at the end. But before we get to that, let's talk about the next chapters. You ready? You're ready?
Yes.
Chapter 35, Chapter 36, and Chapter 37. Who do you want to see in these chapters?
Sansa.
Okay?
Daenerys.
Mm-hmm.
Bran.
Okay. You
People
did
we
pretty good. So Chapter 35 is Ned.
Oh my gosh. Of course it is.
And then Chapter 36 is Daenerys.
Yay! Okay, good.
Okay, wait. But back up. What are we going to see from Ned?
Okay, of course it's Ned. I love Ned, but he's like, we literally see him every single time. But I'm not mad anymore because now things are actually happening, so it's fine. But anyway, Ned's chapter. Okay. Oh, okay. We'll see them. They'll go to the brothel. They'll go to the brothel. He'll be coming back from the brothel, and he's gonna run into someone he doesn't want to run into. Like, we'll see like Robert out in the courtyard.
Okay.
As Ned comes back, and they're gonna have like an altercation. It's gonna be like either Robert's gonna forget everything, and he's gonna be like, you know what, it's okay, good bud. Or he's gonna be like,
you haven't left
get
yet?
Out of here. Yeah.
Okay. So, what are we gonna see from Daenerys then?
Daenerys.
We know there is going to be an assassination attempt on her life at some point.
Yes. Okay, she is... We don't see her too often, so I feel like when we actually see her, things, like, have to happen. So maybe the assassination attempt will happen, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like it's not too quick. It'll happen. Okay. Assassination attempt happens near the end of the chapter. She's still pregnant. Assassination attempt happens.
But,
we hear all about
just logistically, the command is going from King's Landing to the Free Cities to Vias Dothrak, which is on the other end of the other continent, basically. That's gonna take some time.
I know, but, like, when are we gonna get her chapter again? Like, well, I guess also things can't move that quickly. Okay, you know what? We're not gonna get a death attempt. She's gonna be pregnant. She's just gonna be pregnant, living her best life. Or just living her life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. I see we're defining her by her pregnancy now. I'm just kidding. I know that's not what
she's not allowed to do a lot of things. You know?
Okay, yes. Alright, so chapter 37.
No, wait, because last time we saw her, they were still traveling to get to the place that starts with a V. So
Vias Dothrak.
Yes, that place. So now they're going to be there. That's
okay.
It.
Alright. Good guess. Alright, so next up, 37, we have a Brandon Stark.
Bran?
Yes. Oh, come on. You know his name is Brandon.
I know, but he doesn't feel like a Brandon.
Right, I don't think he's a kid, so
I know,
Brandon
6-year-olds
is like an old
shouldn't
man
be Brandon. Name. That's just weird. Okay, I got 2 out of 3. That's pretty good.
Yes, you did.
Hopefully we get a Sansa sometime soon. What's gonna happen with Bran. So, Bran, what happened last time? Last time Tyrion was still there when we saw Bran.
Yes, it was a
while
ago.
And Tyrion was like, oh, he was gonna learn how to ride.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's learning how to ride. He's like, where the heck are my parents? Maybe they're getting, like, letters and stuff from...
Catelyn and Ned and whatever.
Yeah. They're just getting letters. He's learning how to ride. Him and Rob are like, oh my gosh, eventually we're gonna have our family back. Let's just power through.
Okay. All right. That's everything for that. Now to the thing that I alluded to before. Since we are halfway through this book, and I am very slow at editing, I'm gonna make this request now, even though we're very far away from the end of the book, technically. So, to all the listeners, anybody hearing these dulcet tones, okay, if you have any questions or theories for Harmouth to discuss after we finish this book, send them in. Now, this can only relate to the first book, and if you have any theories, only send evidence from the first book. Okay? Alright. Sorry, that sounded very, 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 like I'm commanding people or aggressive. Yes, that sounded very aggressive, but I did not mean it that way. Just, if you have anything to say and you want us to discuss it after we finish this book, send them in. We're gonna probably have one chapter of wrap-up where we talk about the book as a whole and theories and questions and what to expect next.
Oh my gosh,
it'll be fun.
That's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be so much fun. There's already, like, everybody listening can think of a few theories that I'm gonna bring up with evidence from this book. I will do that, but I want your opinions too, so that's all I gotta say. Hopefully this episode will be posted sooner rather than later. I am so sorry. If anybody wants to volunteer their editing services, I'm just kidding. I know it's a lot of work. I would not ask that of anybody. It's a lot of work, which is why it takes me so long and I'm so bad at it. I'm so sorry. Okay, calm down. See, even thinking about it gives me anxiety. All right. I think that's everything. Until next time, farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.